That's what we got last time, bikes. They're big enough for a family, that's for sure, so.
I think my wife can only do so much with all of them.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what to do and not have them be like, this is boring.
Yeah, they wanted to say Krugling could stay with me, and I was like, I guess, that'd be all right. And then I didn't realize it was this massive place. I felt bad for being like, It's a huge place.
Is it the same place that has like the indoor golf course and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
What-
kids would love that.
No,
Oh,
All right, it's 6 o'clock, sorry.
It's fine, man, it's fine.
Start with the pledge.
sorry, Denver.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Just a reminder to silence your cell phones. We'll start with roll call. Mayor Sherman. Here. Councilor Horton.
Here.
Councilor Klinkhammer. Councilor Lundstrom.
Here.
Councilor Scalise.
Here.
Councilor Spadman.
Here.
Councilor Tyree.
Here.
All right. So we've got a quorum. Approval of the agenda. Do we have any additions or corrections? I think I do. Okay. You didn't mention it. We're gonna postpone the executive session. Yep. To the end of July.
And we're doing that simply because what was going to be reported on, there still needs to be a little bit more information that needs to develop. Instead of having 2 meetings, the attorney felt it's better to do one at end of July.
Anything else? All right, look for an approval for the agenda. Motion.
No, we approve the agenda for the regular meeting of June 23rd, 2025, except the
Executive session.
executive session. I already got this in earlier.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Councilor Horton.
Yes.
Councilor Lundstrom.
Yes.
Councilor Scalise.
Yes.
Councilor Spadman.
Yes.
Councilor Tyree.
Yes.
Mayor Sherman. Yes. Motion passes. Approval of the minutes. We've all had a chance to look through the minutes of our last meeting. Does anybody have any corrections? If not, I'd look for a motion to approve.
I move we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 9th, 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Councilor Tyree.
Yes.
Councilor Spadman.
Yes.
Councilor Scalise.
Yes.
Councilor Lundstrom.
Yes.
Councilor Horton.
Yes.
Mayor Sherman. Yes. Motion passes. Visitors and delegations. I don't see any visitors here for citizen comments or anything, so we'll just move on to management. Chris Bostrom, we've got a resolution.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you this evening is Resolution 2025-9, a resolution naming signatory authority for bank accounts for the City of Brush. Deanna Schwint, who has served the City of Brush for over 20 years, is retiring at the end of June. In her service, she held the position of Deputy City Clerk. It is necessary at this time to assign a new signatory authority to our current Deputy City Clerk, Jan McCall. We appreciate and applaud Deanna's many years of dedicated service to the organization and the community. So it's staff recommendation to assign signatory authority to Deputy City Clerk Chan McCall on behalf of the City of Brush on all accounts held within the financial institutions of Brush, Colorado, and the C-Safe Investment Fund account. All other signatories will remain intact: Mayor Dana Sherman, Mayor Pro Tem Larry Lundstrom, and City Clerk Lorenda Packard. Any questions?
That's good. I would look for a motion to approve this resolution.
I move we approve resolution number 2025-9, naming signatory authority for bank accounts for the City of Brush to Chan McCall.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Councilor Lundstrom.
Yes.
Councilor Tyree.
Yes.
Councilor Scalise.
Yes.
Councilor Horton.
Yes.
Councilor Spadman.
Yes.
Mayor Sherman. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that motion passes. All right, digital accessibility plan, Tyler Curtis.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council. So before you tonight is a digital accessibility plan, and this is in response to state legislation that first off happened back in 2021, passing a law that all cities, special districts, essentially public entities will be required to elevate the standard of all their digital communications to a somewhat universal, or at least moving toward this universal standard of WCAG 2.1 AA standard. You can dive into the weeds on that if you like another time. But essentially, a lot of people out there have a variety of disabilities where not everybody can go and look at a document or a website and see it and read it just fine. And so they start to build all these different standards and elements into website design and layouts for Word documents, PDFs, different things like that, to make it more accommodating for everybody. And so the state is mandating that now. And so it was 2021, it has to be in place 2024. In 2024, they passed legislation again to extend that for one more year. So on the staff level, we've been working on that, on bringing things into compliance. If you go to our website, on the bottom left corner, there's an icon there. It kind of looks like just a silhouette of a real generic person. If you haven't done so, click on that, and it's an overlay throughout the whole website, and it opens up all different types of possibilities for ways in which it changes the configuration of the website. So someone who's dyslexic, for instance, will change the font to a font that's been, I guess, proven to be a lot more legible and easier to follow. It has different saturation and hue changes for people that have different challenges with their eyes, color blindness, things like that. And that's just part of it. But in the layout, like I said before, in Word documents and spreadsheets and things like that. So communication that not only goes out to the public, but internal as well. So if anybody were ever to come on staff or currently on staff and something happens and they're not able to view things the way that they used to be, they're still able to access documents and have everything there. So it's not a very common thing, and so a lot of times we don't think about that in how we do business, but the state is saying everybody needs to now think about that. And so as part of the whole plan and process, it's not just the website, but how we communicate through our social media channels as well is going to have to change. So as an example, a flyer that might go out saying this event is happening and have all these different images and fonts and cool looking stuff, it's going to be pretty plain Jane going forward. And having that as more of a supporting document, and then the actual main content itself is within the post on Facebook as an example. So there will be some changes with that. We've been communicating information out to staff on different tips and ideas via email to all the department heads to pass on to their employees within their different departments. And as part of all of this, we are required through the Office of Information Technology through the state, who's the one who's administering the oversight for this legislation, is a plan, accessibility plan, that shows what we're doing to meet all those standards. And so that's what is in our document tonight, and that's what is before City Council for approval. There's no requirement for a local governing approval like I'm asking for tonight, but just to make sure things are clean and you understand what's going on, that we're striving for compliance, because this is effective as of July 1st, so in 1 week from tomorrow. There are fines that are in place as well if anyone does come across anything and they feel like that they are not being served the way that they ought to be. And so we want to cover our bases on that. And so we'll continually update this plan as needed. We're supposed to revisit it at least every couple of years or so. And then we'll always be doing ongoing training with employees. And it's just a new way of thinking. And so naturally with change and this kind of thing, people hear about it, they might roll their eyes and sigh that we got to do this now. But it's just something that we'll ultimately have to just integrate into how we think and do things. If you're not familiar with some of these programs, a lot of them have this built into them nowadays, if you haven't noticed. If you open up a Word document, under review, they typically have check your ADA accessibility. PDF files, you can do the same thing. And it reads it to ensure all the images. They have alternate text, so a description for an image if someone can't even see it, it'll describe what the image is, which is something that we have to put in ourselves when we're creating a document. Lay things out according to proper headings and have legible fonts, good spacing, just a lot of good practices. So we are now implementing that into the city of Brush, or have been, but we're formalizing it now. So I'm looking to request approval from City Council for the City of Brush Digital Accessibility Plan. If there's any questions or comments.
Question.
Yeah.
So the little icon in the lower left of the generic guy, is that like a universal icon? If someone does have a disability, how do they know where to go?
So, yeah, great question. So there's screen reader tools out there, and we've gone through Revise, I forgot to mention that, where they've gone through and scanned all of our pages and look for, on their side, on the design side, where there's any gaps, where that might be for layout. But essentially, someone has a screen reading tool, I think it's Tab or one of the tools on the keyboard, and it goes from each icon, one to the other, and it'll audio give them a quick description of what that is. And so that would be something that they would be looking for, hearing that, and then on knowing that there's certain controls that they have learned how to utilize, it'll open up and go to the different features.
I had a question. If somebody does find a problem, like we're not meeting their accommodation on the website, and they complain about it, is there a way that we can address it before they go to whatever governing body sanctions you?
Find us.
Yeah, great question. So we have a accessibility commitment statement on there, which is one of the requirements through OIT as well. And so within that, we know that every document, realistically, I'll put it that way, a historic document cannot be made accessible. And so there's language that they've given room for, and OIT has given room for, on being able to the best of our ability, to a reasonable degree, things like that, make that accessible for people. And so our disclaimer is on there that if you find something that is not achievable for you, contact us and we'll make those efforts. If we're not, or if it's just blatantly something that we missed, then that's where there would be issues.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Somebody want to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion on a digital accessibility plan
What kind of motion would you like to make?
to pass.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Counselor Tyree,
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom,
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin,
Yes.
Counselor Scalisi,
Yes.
Counselor Horton,
Yes.
Mayor Sherman.
Yes. Okay, that motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. We'll move on to finance.
I move we approve disbursements of payroll for June 10th, 2025 through June 23rd, 2025, totaling $381,936.02.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Counselor Horton,
Yes.
Counselor Tyree,
Yes.
Counselor Scalisi,
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom,
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin,
Yes.
Mayor Sherman.
Yes. Okay, that motion passes. Staff reports. Tyler. Back again.
All right. So first one up, just a real brief update on Central School. A walkthrough is going to be happening once again this week on the upstairs for that. They have submitted a landscaping plan as well as a parking plan for the future on how they're going to be laying out and redoing the entire parking lot in the back area. With the landscaping plan, if you've noticed, they have done some landscaping over there already. They cleaned some things up, put some rocks down. That's just part of the phasing aspect, that you have additional beautification that they want to do over time, both to the front as well as to the sides that they haven't touched just yet, in accordance with the project as it continues to unfold. Commercial projects north of the interstate, those are going well and going very, very quickly. Every time I drive by, I'm like, man, this is moving so fast. A tremendous amount of concrete is going to be poured this week out there. If you've gone by, most of the vertical work has been done, most of it, not all of it, as far as the building goes. It's not the side itself. All the rebar has been laid down, and so watching that, it's just moving quick. It's exciting. I asked Chief today if they had the opportunity to utilize our drone and take some aerial shots of the development going on, just because it looks cool and we could use it for different stuff in the future. And he said they did, so look forward to seeing that. And go Brush. But all those projects are going well, going forward. Downtown lighting. So in case you hadn't noticed, lighting is going up downtown. I know that project had been in discussion for a couple of years, so it's exciting to see it go up. So it should be done this week. So it's about 2 to 3 week project, just like they said it would be. In case anybody asks, how can the city afford this? It's because of grants We had a small amount of money set aside, just $12,500 for just downtown lighting and Main Street projects. And so the Main Street program through the chamber, they get $10,000 every year, up to 5 years you can save up to put toward a project. And so we utilize both of those as matching funds toward CDOT's Main Street Revitalization Grant Program, which is actually on the chopping block because of the financial restraints from the state. And so we lucked out during the year that it was running. We got in there and got a $250,000 grant for that project, as well as the paver rehab work that's going to be happening later this year. So the idea, of course, is make downtown more attractive, more desirable. People want to be there. And so as the project wraps up this week, our plan is Friday night, roughly 6 to 10, is do a downtown celebration event. We're working with some downtown businesses, trying to get some exciting activities down there. A couple things we have to nail down, so I won't give the details just yet. If we're going to start, we're going to have this and that, and we don't have those things. But I will say we're going to have root beer floats. Ice cream and root beer floats will be one of the elements. We're going to partner with the downtown businesses, the restaurants that are there, to make the event exciting. So we invite the entire community to come out as we flip the switch and ooh and ah and say, here we go. So that's that project as well. And then lastly, I'll be going over some stuff in work session, but with the RO facility, working with staff members on bringing all the pieces together so we can go for the state revolving fund to get the financing together for that project. There you go.
Good. Thank you.
Any questions?
All right, Chief Flecksteiner.
Good evening, everyone. Excuse me. We'll try to make this brief to kind of save my voice. Been very busy, as usual, for us. I guess two big things of note weren't things specifically that happened in town. We had a collaborative effort with the Sheriff's Office, Sterling Police Department on one, and then as well as Arvada Police Department and the Northeast SWAT team. There was a couple of high-profile cases that other agencies had in there, and with the utilization of the MRAP that we have, we helped in those matters. The first incident, we didn't actually get to the guy Sterling was looking for, but there was multiple arrests placed for the location of the Sheriff's Office. And the secondary guy, the guy from Arvada, took a matter of minutes. Once the SWAT team got on scene, he gave up relatively quickly. So again, it wasn't anything we did with us, but just collaborative effort for us to pitch in and help with what we can. So with that, I don't have anything else unless somebody has questions or concerns. I'm just trying to save my voice.
Thanks for putting stuff up on Facebook still.
Oh.
I think it's really nice that you've been doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Fire Chief Leger.
Mayor, Counselor, just a couple things. So the ladder truck is scheduled for completion November 13th. So we're looking at going out for final inspection the first week of December after Thanksgiving, and then it'll be delivered sometime before Christmas. And then we'll do the same thing we did when we got our new engine. We'll do a community event and a push-in ceremony probably after the holidays are over, and we put it into service. The new radios are supposed to be in this week sometime, so we'll be taking delivery of those. Hose testing will be this Friday, so all of our hose goes through its annual hose testing. And then 4th of July, fireworks are here, they're all accounted for. Just a reminder that the park will close once we get there and we come on site. We know it's an inconvenience, but due to legal issues and liability, we have to close the park. So it can't be access to get to the rodeo grounds or to have a picnic or anything like that. So if they're gonna use it, probably need to be out of there by 1 o'clock. And then if there's people that come in to reserve camper spots, if City Hall could help advise them that they can't stay in their campers during the shoot, that they have to vacate the area once the shoot begins.
Does that go for the bullpen as well, right there to the south of the campground? Because this year, supposedly, there might be some trucks and trailers back there with some horses. There's a new fence that they built between the bullpen and the back of the rodeo.
I haven't. As long as they're on the outside of the outfield fence, they're fine. But it's basically the fence line there by the
water towers, basically around the outfield. The whole park has to be vacated when we come on grounds with the fireworks. So we'll be there probably between 1:30 and 2 o'clock to begin preparation work.
Ray, is the ladder truck early? Are we getting it earlier than planned?
No, we are not.
Because that'll be that next 900 and some thousand that we've got to.
Easy.
980.
Easy. You're 100,000 some over.
Oh, are we? Oh, okay. Eight.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, the discount.
You were high, he's not high.
Easy.
That's good.
Other than that, anybody has any questions?
I don't think so.
Thank you, Ray. All right, Del Corey.
Thank you, Mayor, councilors. So, big news for tomorrow is there's going to be a road closure out there on the Armbar development on Crossway. Currently, Maverick is looking to tie in some water and sewer to their site. The prelays that were put in by the contractor early on are just too far away and too remote. You can't get slope on the sewer. You can't. It's just a lot of extra pipe just to get out there. So we're going to have a road closure so they can get in there, tap into the water and the sewer, and then we're going to have them flow fill back. And then after they flow fill back and it sets up, then we have to allow the concrete to set up, at least get 7 days on it. So tomorrow we're going to close the crossway in that area of where Maverick is being constructed, and that should be shut down for about 2 weeks. If we can open it up any quicker, we will. Talking to the contractor, they were talking about potentially putting an accelerant into the concrete to get a higher strength in a shorter period of time, and so we'll do that. But also, while the road is closed down, Armbar is going to take that opportunity to do some of the necessary items on the punch list before we accept the roadway. And so it just works out good for everybody. We just wanted to make sure that everybody's aware that that section of road is going to be closed. We did notify everybody else that we could who'd be effective. We were looking at XL Energy, Tri-State, School District, then the County Express, the county, also BBD, and that's most everybody out in that area that would be affected, because I'm here to tell you, just even going out and working on that roadway just a little bit, you would be surprised how much traffic that road is actually starting to get. I mean, it's pretty busy. I was really surprised. So expect that closure tomorrow. The planned date for opening is going to be July 7th. Next, the street department, they've been doing a lot of road work lately, but now we're kind of shifting gears, getting ready for the 4th of July, getting stuff prepped for the parade route and other areas throughout town. So we're going to pull back off the road work a little bit and start working on the 4th of July preparations. And then also tentatively scheduled for Wednesday is Mr. Gordon has a sewer project that he needs to do out on the highway. City's going to assist him a little bit with traffic control, and CDOT's going to assist as well, because this is kind of a very expensive repair, and so we're going to try to do what we can to work with him to get the sewer back into his home, because it's been a long time. So we would tentatively have that scheduled for Wednesday. We'll see what happens. I'm still waiting to hear back from CDOT on this one here. But he's got a contractor lined up. We've got all our traffic control devices lined up. It's just a matter of getting out there and setting it up and getting it done. So then, in my world, I've been spending a lot of times with the engineers, I should say, with our projects, whether it's a solids handling or whether it's with the RO facility and other items. And so I need to start putting all the numbers together to get on the state revolving funds needs list. That's due June 30th. So that's coming up, but we're getting better numbers now and get on that needs list. If you're not on the needs list and you try to get money, you're not going to get it. So that's the big thing there, is getting our updated numbers in there. And then also been spending quite a bit of time with attorneys and consultants that would have been discussed in the executive session, but we're not. Other things have just recently come up in the last couple of days, and so we're going to postpone that discussion. So, and with that, I'll entertain any questions?
Do you have any updates on the speed feedback signs by the library?
Sure. I was going to say, the poles were installed. We anticipated to have the feedback signs set up this last week, but they were being installed as of today.
Oh, cool. It's
Yeah.
working.
No, not working yet. They're just getting
The one
installed.
by Strauss House was, they clocked me.
Did it really?
I was over there like 2 days ago and they weren't up, but they're up today.
Yeah, it's
Cool.
right in front of Strauss House.
How fast were you going?
Just said slow
Fast enough to trigger the thing.
down. 19 miles an hour.
19 miles an hour.
19 miles an hour.
Okay. Very good.
Dale, for the benefit, if you can remember all these offhand, what are the days that the city crews put the flags up downtown? Because I know there's a couple days that you normally put them, but then one question came up about Flag Day. Is that one of the days?
They should have been. I was out of town at that time. It should have been. They should have been put up.
Okay, but what, throughout the year, which days?
We're looking at President's Day, I believe, Memorial Day. We're looking at Flag Day, 4th of July. I also believe that we also do, I think we might do Veterans Day. I'll have to go back and check. So
Oh.
any of the federal holidays that deal with veterans, and any of the memorials, patriotic days, patriotic holidays. So. Okay.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Chris Bostron.
Good evening once again. In your packet this evening was the financial report for the first quarter of 2025. And so I kind of just wanted to go through that for just briefly, just make a few note of a few items. We have seen a little bit of an increase in intergovernmental revenues, specifically our city sales tax. It's increased by about 5% over this time from last year, so it's good to see that projection going up. Our use tax revenue has exceeded the budget by this point already. Of course, that's good news. We'd like to see that as well. Also, the increase in the building permits has attributed to that increase as well. So we've seen both of those revenues exceed budget. So we are right on track with those. We continue to monitor that as we go throughout the year. Looking at our business activities, which are our utilities, all of the funds have seen a good bump up. The water revenue is up over 10% from this time last year. Trash and garbage, there again, is almost at 10% increase. Of course, we expect to see that with the rate increase. We also have seen the increase in the wastewater revenue at 6.85%, as well as stormwater, an increase of 6.85%. So there again, we'll continue to monitor this revenue as we continue throughout the year. Expenses are in line as well. They look very well. Nothing seems out of the ordinary. Our cash flow is stable, and we will continue to watch the need for the use of any reserves as we continue throughout the year. So all in all, we are in sound financial territory for this first quarter of 2025. So do you have any questions for me? We're healthy. It's good. And that's all I have for you this evening.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Larry in the background.
I wanted to comment on the letter that was presented by Nick Gordon at last meetings, at the last meeting during citizen comments. I was trying to read through it while he was here to break down what he was looking for, and there just wasn't time, and I didn't have everything there to look at. But what it boils down to is he wanted clarification on some codes. There were 4 chapters in city code that he tried to access online, and they weren't there. And so he was wondering why they weren't there. They're chapters that don't have any content right now, is what I have found. And one of the chapters was referenced in the resolution from 2017 that he was talking about as well, chapter 15. And I'm finding that since at least 2006, there's no evidence that we had any content in that chapter. So my conclusion is just that maybe the resolution listed or cited a section that just didn't exist and it was made in error. I've been working with Mr. Gordon to make sure that we're providing the information that he is looking for. His core request that he also mentioned in the letter said, he commented that we didn't have any records for him, and that is true. We just didn't have any records responsive to his request, and I think he found some of the same with the county, but then I believe he did have some success, and I can't remember exactly the details, so I better not remark on that. But I just wanted to follow up on that, and I also wanted to point out that in our online codes, there's a section at the very bottom that you can click on, and it talks about the disposition of code, and it gives a pretty comprehensive list of all of the changes where we have removed anything from code over the years. And as far as I could tell with our own ordinances and my quick search through ordinances, I agree with, the list that they have out there, and it also didn't mention anything for chapter 15. So. Any questions?
What exactly was he looking for?
It had to do with utilities, and he was looking for like a right of way, and I'm not sure what easements. But we didn't have any agreements between him and the city on such an easement. I'm not real sure what he was looking for in our utility, the code for utilities. That discussion was probably had more with Dale, but
I think briefly this discussion he had with me was just more or less trying to find out where he owned and where the city owned type of thing, and what he was responsible for paying for. And I explained to him then, it's yours until the tap. So, and even the tap is technically your responsibility, so I don't really know what his grievance was, but.
I'm not sure either.
He's getting the work done. It sounds like he's.
Pardon?
Sounds like he's getting the work done now and
Yes,
got
he
it
is,
figured
yes.
out. Yeah.
And we're working with his contractor to see if we can't keep the lid on the cost and try and, keep it reasonable.
Yeah.
Because, some of the quotes that he received from contractors were pretty, I couldn't believe them. And so I don't know where the contractors were getting those kinds of numbers. So.
Those are, I don't want to do the job numbers, Dale.
That's exactly what those are.
I've done those before.
So no wonder he was upset. I mean, if
Yeah.
those were the quotes he was getting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, and I don't want to get too far off Lorenzo's
Yeah,
report
sorry.
here, but when looking at some of the requests that he was looking for was easements that the city would have had to run water and sewer to his property, but whereas that is their private lines, we would never ask for an easement.
Yeah.
So they just don't exist.
Yeah, I thought I got that through to him, but I must not have explained it very well, so.
That's really all I have for a report, other than tomorrow starts the CML conference, and we'll look forward to hearing from council after they return.
Cool.
Thank you for doing that. Our city attorney, Dan Crabb, is on the phone.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to say, Loranda, you're absolutely correct with the, they're not missing, they're just not utilized provisions of the code. That drives me nuts, and it happens in all my towns. So I also wanted to apologize. I told you guys I would get you overweight truck language, and between the holiday and a couple other fires, I failed to do that. So I'll have that for you guys next meeting. I don't have anything other than hope to see you guys all at CML. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay. I don't think anybody has any questions for you, Dan. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Great, money first.
Okay, a few items. First one, a while back, probably about 6 to 9 months ago, we had a discussion with council about solar and thoughts about solar. And at one point, I'd also mentioned that we had put in a request to the county on one of the referrals for a solar facility that was going in next to the Brush Golf Course. It was a little bit close. We were hoping it'd be a little further away versus 70 feet from the property line. But the county commissioners did approve that, and we've been working with Pivot Energy, the developer. And right now it's just verbally between the city of Brush and Pivot Energy. We had asked for some type of landscaping or screening and also a landscape architect to do some design work for us. And we've got a conceptual design of some screening out there using landscaping, mostly trees, and I guess they're all trees on what we have so far. But we've agreed that we could work with them and essentially take, right now what's on the table is $50,000 that they would give us to put in the landscape screening, and we would maintain it. So we're pretty excited about that. And then also there's a secondary donation to our recreation program of $25,000 to help with the ball fields. And Tyler and I visited about it. We think that the $50,000 is doable to put in the screening. And what we're thinking is we'll put some screening on the property line to the west of the City of Brush Golf Course, and then we'll put some internally in the golf course itself where those might give some better screening being closer. So that's very close to being finalized. We should hopefully within the next week or two have an agreement to sign for that. The other thing is with the rodeo coming up, lots of work going on. Just want to remind the council that City of Brush has always been a really good partner with the Rodeo Association. The association asked me to be an ex officio this year, so I started attending their meetings, and they're pretty excited because it's going to be pretty close to a record year of contestants coming in, so they're excited about that piece of it. Everything's looking really good right now. Everything's lining up really well, and I know law enforcement has a really big piece in there, as well as the fire department, as well as public works. Everyone's doing something there. Chamber of Commerce is very active as well with the parade and also doing the beer garden this year. Is that right, Tyler? And Tyler's part of the chamber as well. So a lot of involvement that we do have, so we're excited about that. One of the things that we're trying to get done before the rodeo, kind of some good luck, I guess, good timing, but the highway department started painting their lines through town and on each side of town. And then Dell, I saw this crews out today, they were weed eating all of Mill Street, as well as I think they're getting to Hospital Road 2nd. And they're cleaning it up really good, and that they're going to try to paint all the curb and gutter before. We used to do that years ago, always before the rodeo. We not every year, but fairly often we do that. So we just want to dress up the entryways a little bit. So it's working out pretty good there. I did get a request from the chamber for the City of Brush to become a larger sponsor of the Oktoberfest by the chamber, and so that's something that we can do. I was going to visit with staff a little bit tomorrow in finance and see what else we have available for the Chamber of Commerce. We had started paying more to the chamber for the Oktoberfest because we wanted to sponsor the band or the entertainment they had, and I believe it's $5,000 a year that we give them for that piece of it. But nowadays bands are getting more expensive, so that was a dollar figure set 12, 15 years ago. So it's something that they're asking us if we can help with the band more or become a banner sponsor or a headliner sponsor or something like that. I can't remember what it was called. But anyways, we'll look at that this week. Also, Dell and I are finalizing, or I think we're really close to finalizing a utilities agreement for water services out at one of the power blocks here in town. We're hoping that by the end of this week we get some good comments back from the power block, if that's going to work for them or not. So we think we're close, and that's going to be something we need to get completed before we do a land purchase that we've talked about in the past. Other things to note is that, the audit is complete. We're just waiting for the final reports. And Chris and I, we've talked about, we have a lot of other things we still need to look at. And we haven't forgot the fire department. That's on our list to get that done, looking at the finances there and the 5-year capital plans and reserves, things like that we had talked to Ray about. Another important one is we want to really look at the golf course itself. Currently it's in an enterprise fund status. We we're kind of feeling that might just need to become a part of the general fund, because we support it pretty heavily already. So we're going to have those discussions down the road. Also, after CML, or I guess during CML, on Wednesday, we're hoping to get everyone together for a dinner. 6:30, Lou?
Mhm.
I think it's 6:30 that evening. And we invited Dan Kropp. Dan Kropp should heard that as well. And also, after the CML conference, within the next few weeks after, we typically try to get our council retreat in. So any new ideas, but also the earlier we get that done, the earlier we can start on the budget process for the upcoming year. Kind of crazy, it's not even July, but we're talking about the budget, and so we just need to be ready for that. Other thing to be aware of is the Brush Area Museum. What is it? The Brush Museum. They have a special name because they have a nonprofit group status. But the Brush Museum, it's been run by volunteers for many, many years. And roughly 20 years ago, the city started financially supporting them with a part-time person and also to help with some of their additional cost. I believe it was roughly $10,000 a year that we're putting towards the museum. They did do a presentation, Lance Schwint and the museum, part of the museum board, and it's just hard to get volunteers consistently. And so they have a request about some staffing, and they have a few different ideas. And one of them that I really liked was somehow combining the museum with a person who would also help with the active older adults priority that we have. Because we're moving forward on that. We feel it's going to gain momentum. And once it gets busier and busier, then it's hard for Lance to do that, just hit and miss. It needs to be someone fairly consistent. So we're looking at that. However, I'm sure I have at least 2 other departments that might have staffing needs themselves in addition. And Chris and I, we just want to watch the city budget just a little bit longer to see how the dollar figures play out before we hire new employees, additional positions. So, but we'll keep you apprised of that. And to make sure I've got this right, Lou, did you recently get your certified clerk?
I
All
did.
right. So congratulations, Lou. Takes a lot of work and education for that. So congratulations on that. That's all I have.
Congratulations. All right. Mayor and council reports. Does anybody have anything to report?
I've had a couple people call wanting to know what our progress is going to be on the center, what do you call it, grass? Over by Central School, the median.
So Lance, he visited with me about that about 2 weeks ago, and the problem with it is the sprinkler lines. It's a underground, not a leach line. It's not a regular sprinkler system.
Like a drip system or something?
Yeah, like a drip system underground, and it's not too many breaks in it. And so what they were doing about a week ago was starting to look at if they could repair it, or if it's just time to put in some type of new sprinkler system to get the grass going again. And then Lance's other question was, when Dell gets to redoing that street, should we be thinking about smaller medians, artificial turf, what other options are out there?
Yeah.
But for the time being, it was to get the sprinklers going again, or the water system, irrigation system going again, and trying to get the grass somewhat green for this season.
Okay. That's all I had.
Anything? All right, if nobody has anything else, we're gonna not do our executive session, so I'd look for a motion to adjourn and move into our work session.
So move. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are adjourned.
Okay, get our code up.
guys are all gray at that end. You're like the rainbow that
We
has
called
this,
each other
like-
out.
Yeah, I know, it's like, we didn't communicate very well.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll do a short lead-in.